Oh, welcome back, race fans, for the Racing for Children's. Today, we're at the virtual Barber Motorsports as we are 4 laps in after a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're getting things rocking and rolling right now. David Shutt on the top spot, the number 24 machine. He's got Paul Gibson trying to close the door behind him, and Colin Weatherholt, bringing home the third place spot, currently out on track. Well, looks like Shutt putting the pace down. He's got 1.7 seconds ahead over Gibson. Let's go a little bit further back to the battle for 5th place. You've got Jared Ziegler, Ryan Sheehan duking it out. Looks like John Kasai's going to have problems. Throwing it away, looks like on the exit of pit road here at Barber Motorsports Park. Oh, and Kasai, the problems complicate. Careens it around the number 3 machine. Is he going to take a tow or try and get back out on track here? And he will try and safely rejoin. Now, as I was trying to say, I had the chance to drive these cars a little bit earlier throughout the week, getting some seat time with the drivers, checking everything out. And let me tell you, when you come out on cold tires, especially these black, harder compound tires, it is an absolute handful. And I'm talking about compounds, panning to Ryan Sheehan, the number 66 machine. He's got those bright fluorescent reds on his IndyCar, signifying the softer compound available to these drivers. Now, there'll be different pit strategies you can try and make tonight. Stay out on the hard tires as long as you can, or run the softs early on, or maybe even vice versa, switching it up depending on what the pit cycle is going to look like. And Sheehan putting the work down in that number 66 machine, trying to reel in Jared Ziegler in that 57. This will be the battle for 5th. The other 2 close drivers you have out on track, I believe it's going to be Paul Gibson, Colin Weatherholt. Weatherholt will have that battle for 2nd place starting to unfold. As Sheehan doing everything in his can, but well done to Ziegler, holding on to it, building up a little bit of a gap, and also closing the gap to Trent Brown, 77 machine. Ziegler has his eyes forward on that 4th place spot as you go on board the 57 of Jared Ziegler. Coming up over the tunnel into the final couple of corners here. Going into that final chicane, the very fast left-hander. Oh, I'm all messed up. That's Charlotte Webb. I can't do that with an onboard cam. So coming out of Charlotte's Web, a brief straight before they go diving into the museum turn here at Barber. See if we can get a shot of it. Oddly enough, in sim, the museum's not actually there. So the track was scanned before the Barber Sports Museum was fully completed. As Sheehan has closed the gap once more to Ziegler. Ziegler still gaining time on Brown in that 4th place spot. Here we go over the tunnel. A couple of decreasing radius turns. That final corner is the pit entry before they come out in the start-finish line straight. And look at this, Ryan Sheehan smells blood in the water, closing that gap to Ziegler to 0.2 of a second. But will he be able to facilitate a pass? Barber, especially in these high horsepower, high downforce machines, very tough to make any moves here. And let's see as Ziegler starting to close the gap little by little. Still trying to reel in Trent Brown. And we may have a 3-car battle shaping up here for 4th. It's Brown, Ziegler, Sheehan. But in 4th, 5th, and 6th, your race leader, David Shutt, checking out in the number 24 machine, 2.5 seconds ahead of Paul Gibson. Gibson running about 3/10 ahead of Colin Weatherholt. Now, Weatherholt was an odds-on favorite to try and bring home a win here today after his fantastic performance last week at Long Beach. Looks like Finley Fitzsimmons not able to make it out on track here tonight as well. As it looks like 2 drivers have retired early, John Kasai, Blake McClung. Back in the virtual garage. looks to me like Sheehan playing a bit of a yo-yo there with Ziegler. As the gaps increase, close, get back and forth over and over again. And as always, thank you to the fans, friends, and drivers coming out here tonight to support the broadcast, supporting the Racing for Children's charity, raising great money for an absolutely fantastic cause. You guys do a bunch of on and off track work, I should say, with their foundation, giving kids a bit of a second chance, a fighting chance. And all these drivers out here tonight racing for charity, knowing every dollar raised is for an absolutely fantastic cause. The Racing for Children's IndyCar Series, not just an iRacing league, also a racing league to help raise awareness and funding to cure childhood cancer and blood disorders. Fun, competitive racing for charity each and every Tuesday night. As we check back in on your race leader, David Shedd, the number 24 machine, continuously increasing that gap over Gibson. He's on those red tires as well, the soft compound, checking back in with Gibson. He's on reds, and look at that, there's Weatherholt, the number 12 machine, also on reds, 10 laps in, closing the gap. Now, not sure what the fuel window is going to be here tonight. I would imagine it could be up to 40, 50 laps. But I am thinking it's going to be a one-stop race. And it looks like Ryan Sheehan's had some sort of problems with an off-track excursion. Let's take a look and see what happened to him here. Oh, a little bit of contact between the two going into one. What a save out of Ryan Sheehan. And he's going to catch right back up to leap in the number 20 machine. As, they're dicing it up here. You've also got Jason Miller, that number 9 machine. He wants to charge up through the pack. And every time Leap and Sheehan go wheel to wheel here, that's going to present an opportunity for that number 9 machine to see if he can get up in the mix. Let's check back in on Gibson. Gibson knows Weatherholt closing the gap down to a half second between the top 3 drivers. Gibson second, Weatherholt currently third. And as the run progresses, this is where driver attrition going to become a factor. Starts to get a little bit easier to make those mistakes as Gibson charges out of Charlotte's Web. It looked like that was shut ahead. There's a little bit of lap traffic behind him, so we're going to pan back to Gibson and see how he's going to be able to manage traffic here tonight. Now, racers will be presented the blue flag, letting them know lead lap cars are making their way around. Looks to be about 13 drivers still on the lead lap here. And we've got some great racing going on. Ryan Sheehan, Kyle Leap still duking it out. Sheehan picks up the spot once more from Leap after that off-track excursion that got dangerously close to hitting the outside wall in one. Sheehan somehow able to slow down this IndyCar despite going through the grass. And now Jason Miller, the number 9 machine, gonna join the fray. He's currently 8th out on track. Seeing if he can close the gap to Leap's number 20 machine. And now it looks like we're going to have a battle. Jared Ziegler, Trent Brown, a battle for 4th on board with Ziegler. And it woed down the museum, dropping all the way down to first, rolling back out on the power. And Brown able to stretch that gap back to about 4/10. Let's go a little bit further ahead to Colin Weatherholt. Close the gap to about 1/4 of a second behind Gibson. Gibson's got traffic in front of him. Traffic yields to the left side of the track to allow these lead lap cars on the right side heading into one. And we've got problems for Caleb Nelson, the 07 machine. Finds himself parked in a precarious spot. Let's see what happened. Just loops it around. Locks up the brakes, keeps it off the wall, thankfully. And tries to get it fired back up. This is again the battle between Brown and Ziegler. I also want to thank Nemesis Labs coming on board as a title sponsor. Our good friends over at Martial Arts helping us out with the graphics this season. Big shout out to Martial Arts, as well as our friends over at Propane Depot coming on board this season, helping supporting charity for a fantastic cause. So again, thank you to all our supporting sponsors helping us out here at the Racing for Children IndyCar Series. And tonight you are at the Racing for Children's Grand Prix, their home track here at Barber Motorsports Park. And these guys absolutely putting on a show. Oh, jacking up heavily through Charlotte's Web. Ziegler getting right on the back wing of Brown. A little bit more traffic for these guys to battle with. I think that may be Norman King. Yes, it is. Leading these drivers into Museum. Brown looking for an opening around the 28. King hops off the racing line as quickly as he can to get back on the groove. And that will allow Brown and Ziegler to continue their charge here. Now they're about 5.5 seconds back as look at that. Ziegler with a gutsy move. Able to get around Trent Brown's 77 machine, and Ziegler on the black striped compound, the harder rubber. Compared to Brown, who is on a bit softer tires. Joey McAllister involved in a crash, possibly at the start-finish line. Let's see what happened to our favorite Aussie. Bit of a lockup, just edges it into the wall. Doesn't look like too much damage for McAllister, so good news there. As we check back in on Shutt in the number 24 machine. Making it look easy, but how many laps can he go on these red compound tires before it starts to really degrade? His last time by, a 109.14. Not quite a second off his fastest lap of the race, so staying very, very consistent here. And I think right now Shutt and that number 24 knows he's got a very comfortable margin. He's got clean track all the way around him. Just needs to focus and keep clicking off laps here if he wants to try and bring home a win. As right now the field fairly spread out, 16 laps into the 65 lap main event. As Shutt just charging forward here, not having too many issues, too many woes. Now coming into tonight, Colin Weatherholt is your points leader in that number 12 machine. He had a 9-point advantage over Tyler Dugan. Dugan still out on track in the 42 machine, but had an early incident on lap 3. So this could bode well for that number 12 machine of Colin Weatherholt, as Dugan is going to be in damage control mode. Now I believe this is David Schutt's first time racing here at the Racing for Children's IndyCar League. As Weatherholt trying to close the gap to Paul Gibson. Gibson fourth in points coming into tonight. So Gibson got to be happy to be ahead of that number 12 machine, as it looks like Kyle Leap, number 20, will be one of the first drivers down pit road for a green flag stop. Gonna be interesting to see what tires. Oh no, there's Trent Brown. Looks like he left a whole lot of parts there. Missing the front wing. Let's see what happened to Brown. Ooh, hucked it in very deep into one. Caught the curbing. Goes for a wild ride. Just the bouncing knocked the front wing off of Trent Brown. So he's going to try and limp it onto pit road. And he's got Jason Miller right behind him. Hopefully, Brown and his crew chiefs letting the rest of the drivers know, hey, I've got no front aero. I cannot keep the pace or the grip on the front end. So surely it will be communicated to Brown, you must come down pit road. You've got heavy, heavy damage. And yeah, you can see right there, Brown has problems holding on to the track. He just has no aero to keep the front tires glued down. I will say the IndyCar is looking a little bit goofy without that front wing. Yes, Brown will limp it down pit road. Now let's see Kyle Leap back out on track with the harder compound tires. And your top three drivers on the alternative compound, all running reds. That's David Schutt, Paul Gibson, Colin Weatherholt. You've got fourth place Jared Ziegler. He's on the black tires as well. They can do with it here and holding a very solid pace. Ziegler's fastest lap time, a 109.37 on the harder compound, or excuse me, a 109.27. And Ziegler's been very, very consistent his last time by, only a 10th off his fastest lap of the race. So playing it very, very smart, trying to maintain tire management. And we do have the push to pass available as well here tonight. Looks like your top five drivers have all hit the magic button about 10 times each. Trying to eke out just a little bit more pace out of these machines. And can anybody touch David Schutt, who got down to that 108.3? Schutt almost 0.3 faster, his fastest lap than anybody else out on track. Casey Harrington coming back out onto the circuit. Oh, right as we say, it looks like Schutt has a bit of a bobble. Got to be careful not to hit these undersides of the IndyCars too hard. Can really affect the aero on it. If you damage that floor plan, and drivers were discussing if that was even something you could fix on pit road during one of these races. Or if you found yourself damaging the undercarriage, are you just in big trouble for the rest of the night? So on screen, Jared Ziegler running the black compound tires. The harder rubber, the three drivers in front of him running reds. And Ziegler did just click off his fastest lap of the night, a 109.12 on the harder compound, 21 laps in. Ziegler, I believe, did all of his practicing on these harder compounds, and it seems like it's boding well for the driver, the number 57. And just about every driver we talked to coming into tonight let us know these cars are an absolute handful on the black tires until late in the run where you finally get some heat into them. And then after that, they kind of plateau a little bit and then rapidly drop off. McAllister rolls out of pit road. Marshall Newton coming down pit road. He started off on the black compound. Let's see what he goes out on with a bit over 40 laps left to go in this main event. But most of the drivers, looks like we're starting to see pit cycles work themselves out. We'll check back in on Newton here in a second to see what tires he goes back out on. Jason Miller, the number 9 machine, coming down pit road. It looks like Marshall Newton's going to leave on red compound tires. Got Jason Miller, Jack Mundy, both in pit road as well. Miller throwing on the black compound. Let's see, is Mundy going to do the same? Switching, yes, switching to the harder compound. So it looks like those drivers starting off on reds, throwing on the harder rubber in that one planned pit stop so far. Now it looks like Weatherholt starting to close the gap to Gibson. Both drivers on the same tire compound have yet to come down pit road. And I think Weatherholt has just a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Gibson in the all-red 31 machine. I wonder if that may be, yeah, I think that's got to be Carrington in the 03 machine. Carrington goes wide through Charlotte's Web, allowing Weatherholt by, so Weatherholt's going to put his head back down as Gibson pulls about 3/10. As Weatherholt gets through traffic, everybody racing with a whole lot of respect out here, respecting the blue flag, hopping out of the way if the opportunity presents itself. Now Weatherholt's going to have to try and close that gap once more. Be an update, Jack Mundy has problems with an off-track excursion. That's going down the hill, I believe. Let's see what happened to Mundy to cause that issue. Oh no, that was going over the tunnel. Pushes wide to the left, tries to get back out on track. Very thankfully spins out of the way out of the second and third place driver. And look at this, it's going to be a busy pit road. David Shutt, Paul Gibson, Colin Weatherholt, Jared Ziegler, Ryan Sheehan, all down pit road together. Who's going to throw on? Looks like everybody taking your top three: Shutt, Gibson, Weatherholt taking the hard compound. Jared Ziegler throwing on his set of reds here, as well as Ryan Sheehan. So that's going to allow Nick Terrell, the number 81 machine, staying out a little while longer on his black compound tires. He's going to move up to 4th. Jack Mundy looks like he's going to retire back to pit road. And Ryan Sheehan leaving pit road. He's going to be tucked in right behind Kyle Leaps, number 20 machine. Is Sheehan going to throw it into Charlotte's Web? It looks like he is. Leap goes wide. Sheehan takes over the 6th place spot. Now I'm interested to see here, what can Jared Ziegler do coming out on the red compound tires? He was extremely consistent on the harder rubber. He currently sits about 1.2 seconds back from Nick Terrell in 4th, about 6 seconds back from your 3rd place driver, Colin Weatherholt. As Weatherholt still trying to close the gap to Gibson's number 31 machine. Gibson about 5 seconds back from race leader David Shutt. As we once again checking in on that battle for 6. Ryan Sheehan, the number 66 machine. Kyle Leap, the number 20. Sheehan came in on lap 23 to take the hard compound. Leap came in a bit early on lap 17, so his tires should be, in theory, a little bit more up to temp. And just ahead of them, Nick Terrell. Oh, looks like he has a bit of a bobble. Jared Ziegler comes blasting by there. Not sure if Terrell made a mistake or maybe realized that Ziegler had a bit more pace and wanted to let the 57 machine go. Now Ziegler has fallen back now to 6.6 seconds if he wants to get up there into podium contention. Because Schutt, Gibson, and Weatherholt just on rails here tonight, have been very consistent, very few mistakes. As Ziegler has a bit of a lockup, he's going to try and catch up to Carrington's 03 machine. And Carrington will go a lap down to the 4th place driver. Nick Terrell comes down pit road in the 81 machine. Carrington hops left to allow Ziegler by. Looks like Norman King, Tyler Dugan, all coming down pit road. As we check back in with Schutt. A massive advantage. You can see Gibson way in the background, 4 seconds back. Ooh, I gotta be careful there. Schutt pushing wide. This is an older scan of Barber. Since the track has been scanned, that section of the raceway actually has fairly grippy green painted concrete on the left side, but in this older iteration, pre-museum as we'll call it, just very slick grass there, not a lot of room for runoff. And it looks like Norman King has incident, and he takes a tow back to pit road. Let's see what happened. Looks like he just left his pit stall. Pushed wide in one. And poop, into the outside wall. So King brings it to a close and takes a tow back to pit road. He'll put it in the virtual hauler. Caleb Nelson also in pit road for a lap 26 pit stop for his 07 machine. His driver's fairly spread out, but man, Schutt needs to be extremely careful there. If he pushes too wide, it's a good way to get sent off into the wall. We've got Alex Penn join us here in the spectator area asking how long is a lap here. On average, drivers clicking off 109s, which is so incredibly fast for Barber, almost mind-blowing. From my limited experience, that's a full 20-25 seconds faster a lap than some of the top motorcycle racers in the world. So these guys are absolutely ripping these Indy cars. And keep an eye out as well, Paul Gibson in second, that 31 machine. Looked off a 108.85 compared to Schutt, your race leader, who did a 109.55. So starting to slowly close the gap with about 36 laps left to go. Anything's possible here, but that would be quite a gap to overcome, especially if Schutt is doing any sort of fuel or tire management during this run. As we go on board with Paul Gibson, aka the Doctor. see what a time Gibson clicks off here. Judd clicked off a 109.46 his last time by Gibson. 3/10 faster, a 109.11. But we've got problems for Jared Ziegler. The 57 machine. Oh no, what happened in the final corner? Ziegler's car absolutely ruined here. Surely he's gonna have to take a tow back to pit road. There's no way he makes it away around the circuit. Can he try? We can't look away here. Ziegler, who is running so strong. We'll grab a replay after this current drama unfolds. But Ziegler's got wheels, nose, bouncing around, the wings totally gone. Trying to get it to rotate to the left through Charlotte's Web, not having much luck of it. And look at that front right tire hanging on by the tether. Now I think he can turn right fairly well. Left's not so much. I take that back. I don't think he can turn very well. Let's just call it as it is. Now Ziegler's closest competition, Ryan Sheehan in 5th, is 6 seconds back and closing fast. Traffic's got to be careful here, getting around the wounded Ziegler. Ziegler taking an alternative line. Will he make it back to pit road? Ryan Sheehan right behind him. Again, everybody's going to buy their time here with that damaged car, and somehow Ziegler makes it onto pit road. I've seen a lot of things. I didn't think I was going to see that one. So let's take a look and see what happened to that number 57 machine. Through the final corner. Oh, just pushes wide and drills the inside wall on the start-finish line. Almost the same move we saw to McAllister. But McAllister seemed like he came through it a lot less damaged than Ziegler did. So unfortunately, Ziegler's going to fall all the way back to 9th place. Not sure if he's got a way to get that car fixed or not. So unfortunately, that will take another very fast car out of the running. Now I think Ziegler still had a fast repair in his back pocket as he is back out on track, holding on to the lead lap in 9th. And it looks like he's thrown Reds back on there. Maybe the same set. I'd imagine he would change him if he had a big incident in a spin. So that will leave 9 drivers on the lead lap. Although I think Ziegler is very dangerously close to being overtaken by the race leader, David Shutt. Shutt making his way around the final corner. There's Ziegler just ahead. Everybody really drilling that curving there out of the final corner. And let's see what Ziegler going to do. I can't imagine he's going to fend here. It's not an oval. There will be blue flags flying for the 57 machine, letting them know, hey, the race leader's coming up on ya. Now, in Ziegler's defense, he's back on the throttle. And it doesn't look like Shutt gaining too much time in that number 24 machine. Shutt came in on lap 23, so 10 laps prior to take the hard compound rubber underneath them. As the laps continue to click off here for the Racing for Children's Grand Prix at Barber Motorsports Park. I'm trying to see who that is behind Shutt. I believe it's a driver a lap down, but whoever it is absolutely hauling the mail. And look at the traffic Shutt's going to have ahead of him here if he starts to catch up. I know Ziegler's a part of that combination. Only 9 drivers in the lead lap, but guys still doing everything in their power to try and make something happen here. Looks like we've got about 5 drivers forced into an earlier retirement here tonight. 30 laps left to go. Jack Mundy, Trent Brown, Peter Rettinger, John Kasai, and Blake McClung have all put it back in the hauler. And here goes Shutt, who's going to be blasting through traffic, holding left side track. Allow Shutt to take his preferred line into 1. Shutt still holding a 3-second advantage over Gibson. There's Gibson in that number 31 machine trying to close that gap. It was over 4 seconds at one point. So Gibson have a mighty charge here. But there's going to be a lot of traffic for drivers to contend with. Jason Miller with an off-track excursion. Looks like he also hit the old Alt F4 there and called it a night. Has problems, drills it in the final corner, takes the tow back to pit road, and he is done for the night. Gibson in second, still trying to close that gap. Is now about 3.15 back from Shutt. A little bit of traffic thrown into the mix. Now your top 5 drivers all on the harder compound. And it looks like Gibson getting slowed down a little bit. Shutt's pulled another couple of tenths over that 31 machine. The gap now about 4 seconds, separating race leader David Shutt from Paul Gibson. And it's going to be interesting to see how this one's going to pan out, if it will. Gibson still has that traffic to contend with here. Gibson trying to make his way around traffic, hopping out of the way. But Gibson's got 4.3 seconds now between himself and race leader David Shutt. Let's go a little bit further back. You've got Kyle Leap, Ryan Sheehan, who are once again linked up. We are just about 40 laps in. These two drivers have not been able to get away from each other pretty much all night here. Now last time by, Sheehan was just about 2/10 faster than Leap. Both drivers on that harder compound, but Sheehan has 6 lap fresher tires underneath him. Not sure how much of a difference that's going to be, since all of these guys came in around the lap 20 mark, give or take a few laps. But it looks like Leap has a bit of a micro lock up there through Museum. We may have a battle unfold yet. This is definitely a game of consistency between Leap and Sheehan. We've also got a battle, I think, between Carrington and Ziegler starting to form up, as well as Newton and Miller. Let's see what Miller, we just saw him activate the push to pass, closing the gap to Marshall Newton, but not quite able to throw it in on the inside line through one that he was looking at. So Miller's going to fall back, and going back to the battle now between Carrington and Jared Ziegler. Ziegler staying tucked in right behind that 03 machine of Carrington. Ziegler activating the push to pass here, holding it wide. And he's going to make a gutsy move into Charlotte's Web, looking to the inside line. Carrington yields the spot. Will Carrington have the push option available to fire back against Ziegler? Because now they've got race leader David Shutt right behind him. Shutt surely knows that they have a battle themselves right ahead of him as he leads the charge here at Barber. 25 laps left to go. Oh, looks like Carrington has a bit of a bobble right in front of the race leader. Shutt works his way around. And what happened here? It shows Kyle Leap getting passed by Ryan Sheehan in a very rapid fashion. Let's see if we can take a look at that pass maybe. See what happened to Leap. Oh, Leap just pushed extremely wide there in Charlotte's Web, pretty much giving the spot to Sheehan uncontested. Now up front, looks like Gibson's fallen off the pace ever so slightly. 4.6 seconds back from Shutt, and now Colin Weatherholt has closed the gap to the second place driver. Shutt comes down pit road for what will be his second stop of the night. Looks like Gibson and Weatherholt will follow. All these drivers currently on the hard compound tires with 24 laps left to go. Will they put it on the reds, or are they going to pull a Ferrari and throw the hard compound back on there? Shutt hits his box in the top spot. Car's jacked up. Top three drivers all in pit road. And on go the Reds for Schutt, Gibson, and Weatherholt. Well, let's see what the gap's going to be between these guys, especially between Weatherholt and Gibson. Now, Schutt was in his pit stall 1.5 seconds less than the second and third place drivers. Weatherholt comes out on track 1.2 seconds ahead of Gibson. Kyle Leap comes down pit road for what should be his final stop of the night, as well as Casey Carrington. Looks like Leap rolls out of pit road, spending 10 seconds in his pit stall. Let's see what Carrington does. Carrington also identical pit stop time as Kyle Leap, both 10.17 seconds in their stall. And now with 22 to go, the question is, will Gibson have something for Weatherholt here? Gibson wants to try and chase away some points on the current points leader. Ryan Sheehan down pit road, as well as Marshall Newton. And here we go, the battle we've been waiting for. Gibson trying to close the gap to Weatherholt. Both drivers letting these Indy cars absolutely scream around the track. It is mind-numbingly fast how quick these guys are making their way around. Everybody clicking off 1 minute, 10 seconds. Let's see what updates do now that they're past their outlap. What's this? David Schutt back down pit road. What happened to the number 24 machine? We're going to try and get confirmation from race control, but Schutt may have just lost this race with 21 laps left to go. All of a sudden, Colin Weatherholt out first. Paul Gibson has moved up to second. So what we thought was going to be the battle for second could now very well be the battle for the lead if these drivers can avoid any mistakes. Still not sure what happened to David Schutt in the number 24 machine, who is definitely the dominant driver up until this point. We're going to try and get confirmation on that as quickly as we can. Now Weatherholt in a very crucial spot. Can't let the pressure get to him, that number 12 machine. He's picked up one win so far this season, tying with Finley Fitzsimmons, who's third in points and unfortunately absent here this evening. Gibson still looking for his first win of the season. Now we got reports from race control, not hearing any reports of a penalty for David Schutt. So maybe some sort of gamble with tires. It's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out for the 24 machine, because that has put him about 18 seconds back from Colin Weatherholt and Paul Gibson running first and second. Oh my, how is this going to play out on strategy? Gibson still lagging just about a second back from Weatherholt. Not really able to gain much time, not losing much time here at the number 12. And how is this going to shake down for our drivers? Gibson looks like he finds a little bit of time in the first half of the track. Getting it down to is about 3/4 of a second, but in the back half, Weatherholt maybe extends the gap ever so slightly. Gonna try and see what sectors Weatherholt is able to improve on. Last time by, they're about identical lap times, 108.6s. Let's see what it updates to. Weatherholt with a 109.1, Gibson with a 108.7, so Gibson just about 4/10 faster there. And he's going to have to work very, very hard if he wants to close that gap to Weatherholt, your points leader. Gibson knows he desperately needs the points. He's 4th in points. Weatherholt 1st in points. And now lap traffic's going to be involved in this one. I think that may be Carrington, the 03 machine. The gap now about 0.6 of a second separating your two race leaders. There's going to be 17 laps left to go as they cross the line. Traffic doing an excellent job here tonight, hopping out of the way of the race leaders whenever they get the chance. Everybody driving so respectfully out here at the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. Let's see what Gibson's going to have in the back pocket, closing the gap once again to 0.6. Hard on the brake, Charlotte's Web. Will he gain time in the exit? It's down to about a ½ second, charging down the brief stretch before Museum. Gibson closing the gap here. Looks like Weatherholt just has slightly better drive out of Museum, able to pick up just a few hundredths of a second. Weatherholt trying to grab that draft off the back, the number 12. Weatherholt picks up another 1/10.5 here. Both drivers slightly toying with each other. Who's going to make the big first lunge? Looks like Gibson falls back ever so slightly there. And here we go. The battle continues. 0.6 separating these two. Gibson giving it everything he's got. But Weatherholt pulls the gap back to about 0.7 of a second. And just like that, Gibson closes it again, down to a ½ second. Oh, this is gonna be good, trying to pick off the draft off that number 12's rear wing. Blasting down the start-finish line straight into turn 1, 15 laps left to go. And what a great race this has been. Now David Shutt has been slowly closing the gap in 3rd place after his odd decision to come down pit road. We can only guess he's trying something different on strategy. To be honest, I don't entirely know what it could be. Oh, we've got problems though for Marshall Newton. The 76 machine with an off-track excursion. Let's see what happened to our good friend. Looks like it's going to be into museum. That's Carrington right behind. Oh, just a little hard on the brakes, catches the grass, and whoop, around she goes. And still a half second separating Weatherholt and Gibson. The laps rapidly clicking off here. This has definitely been a night of consistency with the top 3, top 5 drivers. And once again, traffic going to be a factor for your race leaders as they come through the final corner on the start finish. And just absolutely mind-blowing how fast these guys are able to throw it in. Trying to point and shoot these machines, get them slowed down, stopped, and quickly back on the gas, putting all the horsepower down. Lap drivers hopping out of the way. Looks like we've whittled it down to about 5 drivers on the lead lap. That's Weatherholt, Gibson, Shutt, Sheehan, and Terrell, your current top 5. Although I think Terrell, within a couple seconds of going a lap down his 81 machine. And Gibson just seems like he's trying so hard to close the gap to Weatherholt. But this is where Weatherholt is at his best. He's got relatively clean track ahead of him. Not much pressure from behind. And Gibson's going to give it everything he's got in that 31 machine. 3/10 squarely in the draft of Weatherholt. I don't know where he's going to try and make a pass at here. Weatherholt picks up a few tenths, come out of museum. Gibson quickly answers. Both drivers have hit that push to pass button 10 times so far tonight. Looks like Weatherholt able to pick up I was going to say 2/10 through the chicane. But again, Gibson quickly fires back. And look at that, Jared Ziegler, sitting in 7th place, puts down the fastest lap of the race, a 1:08.29. With a big lunge next to Kyle Leap. Leap has a bobble, too hard on the brakes. Ziegler using those fresh reds underneath him. Moves back up into 6th with liberal application of that push to pass feature. And well done, Trent Brown. The number 77 machine has just made his donation to the Racing for Children Foundation, sending $5 towards a good cause, so well done to Trent Brown. As up front, it is once again 3/10 separating Weatherholt and Gibson for the lead. 10 laps left to go. Now this is where Weatherholt seems to be the strongest in the back quarter of the racetrack. Gibson trying to get right there behind him, but is the dirty air maybe affecting the 31 machine and making it tougher to cross over the tunnel into the final couple of corners. Gibson extends the gap back out to a half second, and then, Weatherholt extends the gap back to a half second. And then Gibson has to put in the work all over again to close that gap. Oh, that was Jared Ziegler right behind, who was absolutely flying. And a very dangerous spot to crash in. Thankfully, it doesn't look like any drivers right behind him. Weatherholt trying everything he can to defend against Gibson. Generally, it looks like if Gibson can get through the museum corner out in front, he's able to defend through the two chicanes and the uphill right-hander. McAllister comes down pit road with 9 laps left to go. The laps rapidly clicking off. What is Gibson going to do? Or is he going to tuck in right behind Weatherholt? Oh, as that was McAllister, threw it away out of pit road. Thankfully not in front of the race leaders. Will Gibson be able to pressure Weatherholt into making some single mistake? Weatherholt has been very consistent all season long. Weatherholt a first last week at Long Beach, a 5th at Texas. Knows what it takes to be consistent. Oh, Gibson, I think, had a bobble there. He did. He's going to lose a ton of time to Weatherholt. Weatherholt stretches the gap to 1.2 seconds. And Gibson complicates things, another micro lockup. Got to be careful not to put too much into these reds because David Shutt in 3rd is trying to get around Jared Ziegler's 57 machine. Judd has been consistently about 0.6 faster than the top 2 drivers. But now with a little bit of traffic ahead of him, that may stall his momentum. He's still about 11.9 seconds back from what was the battle for the lead. Weatherholt now with a 1.3 second advantage to his name. Look at the pass from Shutt around the outside. No, I think I misread the push to pass. I think Weatherholt had 10 left, just clicking one off there. So seeing the advantage, yes, Weatherholt hammering the button. He wants a hot lap here trying to put as much of a gap between himself and Gibson as he possibly can with 6 laps left to go. Judd starting to hammer the button as well. Not seeing Gibson having used his yet, or Ryan Sheehan, as Weatherholt and Shutt starting to hammer that button. We may see a very fast lap out of Weatherholt here. Let's see what time the number 12 machine can click off. He used the push to pass 4 different times on that lap. But it's going to be a 109.48 in the favor of Weatherholt. Five laps left to go here at Barber Motorsports Park. Gibson's closed the gap to 6/10. How did he do that? As Gibson has not hit the magic button yet. Gibson absolutely on rails, but he's got to be careful. He had that small bobble just a few laps prior that started to compound. He's got to be very consistent here if he wants to reel in Colin Weatherholt's number 12. As Weatherholt will have a little bit of lap traffic ahead of him. We still only have 5 drivers on the lead lap. And I think Nick Terrell, our 5th place driver, not too far ahead of your race leaders. Gibson mashes the push to pass as well. Gibson's been very strong on the brakes here tonight. Oh, but too much throttle out of Charlotte's Web. And Gibson, unfortunately for the 2nd time, almost in the same spot, throws it away. And he will now find himself 8 seconds back from Weatherholt. And look who's charging forward. David Shutt, the number 24 machine, wants that 2nd place spot. A 1st place may be out of reach here. With 4 laps left to go, 5 push to pass presses left, and a 3-second disadvantage. Shutt not gonna give up yet here. There's Gibson, who just crossed the right side of your screen. He's got to be talking to his crew chief. His spotters letting him know, hey, Judd is charging forward here with 3 laps left to go. It's down to 2.3 seconds between our 2nd and 3rd place drivers. Gibson mashing the button as well, wanting to hold on to that 2nd place spot. Trying to get as much steam as he can built up, holding the button, closed it down to 2 1/4 seconds. But I think Shutt may just be running out of laps left here unless Gibson's absolutely smoked his tires. They've all been out on track in these reds for about 20 laps, so the tail end of the lifespan, I would guess. 2 laps left to go as it's Weatherholt, Gibson, Shutt, Sheehan, and Terrell, your top 5. Coincidentally, the only 5 drivers still on the lead lap at this point. As we check in on race leader Colin Weatherholt, he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, but he does have a 7-point 6-second advantage to his name. So I think Weatherholt can take it relatively easy here. Doesn't have to set record-breaking laps. White flag is out here at Barber Motorsports Park. Weatherholt 7.8 seconds ahead of Gibson. Gibson 1.7 ahead of Schutt. And what are we going to see here? Will anything shake up? Or is Weatherholt going to be the first two-time winner of the season? Yeah, I think Weatherholt's just going to play it safe here. Not wanting to force any mistakes out of himself or worse, get collected in somebody else's. And for the final time, Weatherholt in the last two corners here at Barber. Weatherholt's gonna make it back-to-back here through the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. Picking up the win here at Barber in absolutely convincing style. Paul Gibson's gonna bring home second, and you can see David Schutt rounding out the top three. Well done to these drivers. Weatherholt going to enjoy the cool down. Basking in the limelight. Second win of the season, back-to-back, the first two-time winner we've had. Other drivers giving a bit of a tip of the hat to the driver of the number 12 machine. And these two drivers gonna bask in the limelight together. What a great finish, great race amongst these guys. And does Weatherholt have anything for us? No, a quick picture and back to pit road. We're going to try and get these drivers up here into the waiting room. Looks like we've got just about everybody. Let's start things off with the driver, the number 24 machine, David Schutt. David, a hard-fought third, but we've got to ask, my friend, what on earth happened late in the race to see that peculiar third pit stop on lap 44?
Just a terrible pit crew today. I decided not to fuel my car on the last stop, so that's why I had to pit again. But yeah, I felt like I would have won if that hadn't happened. So
yeah, we were all
race.
wondering up here in the booth. We were trying to get in touch with race control to see if there was a speeding penalty we may have missed. So just no fuel in the car. Hate to see it, but David, you were definitely the dominant car out there all night long until that late race misfortune on pit road. Pulling a bit of a Ferrari move, it looked like, but what were you thinking early on in the race? You had a very comfortable lead and for the most part able to maintain that distance all race.
Yeah, I actually felt like I had an advantage there. And like I said, I think I would have easily won. I gained probably 6 or 7 seconds on that last stint there after I pitted a third time. So it is what it is. But congrats to Colin on the win.
That's racing on its best days and worst days. Now, David, obviously you're extremely fast here at Barber. Any other tracks coming up on the season that you're particularly excited to run at?
I don't really have anything in particular. Just hoping to get some wins here.
Awesome, David. Great job out there. A lot of fun watching you drive, and hope to see you back up here in 2 weeks when we fire back off after the off week. And before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make tonight possible for you?
I just want to thank everybody at PG-13. We did get 1, 2, 3, so that was pretty cool. You guys for broadcasting.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. That was David Shutt finishing second. Up next, we've got Paul Gibson bringing it home in second place in the number 31 machine. Paul, great race out there. Looked like a lot of kind of yo-yoing back and forth between you and Weatherholt in the last 5-10 laps.
Yeah, that was close. Yeah, the winning move right there was in the pits. I was spinning the tires coming out of the pit stop, and he got around me, and I think that's probably was the deciding factor there. So congrats to him. Took advantage of that. I was gonna say I don't think either Colin and I we were just talking about earlier felt like we deserved this one. David was the class of the field and had a little incident with his pit stop. So, but yeah, he had us covered on speed, no doubt. All race. But yeah, congrats, Colin, for pulling it out. Another one.
Now, Paul, out here at Barber Motorsports Park, a relatively tight track. Did the air off of Colin's number 12 machine make it even tougher for you to close that distance and try and facilitate a pass, or was the air pretty good and it's just the track conditions that made it so tough to make moves on them?
Yes, a little bit of both. The couple of spots that you needed to get close to him were previously, before that was like a couple like really aero sensitive areas. So it was it's pretty tough to get close enough to him. When you did, your car just got real light over some of the crests of the hills and stuff. So you had to be really careful. And I think I just ended up using up my rear tires, 3 laps too early, trying to push them into using push to passes. So I'd have some, in the tank left over at the end and maybe could get around him. But yeah, he held steady the whole time. I couldn't get him to make a mistake.
Well, a lot of fun watching you guys go out there. I know you've got a lot of big plans for the rest of the season. And tonight, Paul, who you want to give a shout out to that helped make this second place possible?
Well, definitely to our guys here at PG-13 Racing. So Colin, myself, David, Trent, and I think we only had 4 in this time. Yep. But the 4 of us, we work really hard together on practicing and comparing data and lap times and that kind of stuff. And it showed today. It turned out really well for us. And then to OMG Paints, Control F Media, some of the other sponsors that are on the car too. So thanks for all the help and all the paints and all that.
Awesome. Well done, Paul. Hope to have you back up here next week. And as always, appreciate your time and talking to you.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for broadcasting.
Thank you, sir. That was Paul Gibson bringing home in the second place spot. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Colin Weatherholt, making it the first driver with 2 wins so far this season, back to back, and what I would consider not exactly easy tracks to make your way around on in an Indy car.
Yeah, hey, it's great to be here again. Not very easy to pass, so I just did it all in the pits apparently. ran consistent laps behind David and Paul. They were definitely faster than I was. I just kept the nose in the hunt there and was able to pull off a nice win with a little fuel mishap with David and beating Paul out of the pits.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a real tough one. Now, would you say this is tougher than Long Beach to make passes or slightly easier?
Oh, I definitely think it's tougher to make passes. It's so hard to get a draft. There's like 3 straightaways here, but none of them are big enough to really, really make the pass. And then the race length of the race made it a little bit difficult to really use push to passes. We were trying to put as little fuel in the car as possible, just because there's so much load in the tires here. You don't want much weight in the car. So
Colin, back-to-back technical road courses. What tracks are you pumped about? What tracks are you maybe apprehensive about coming up later in the season?
I'm definitely looking forward to some Road America. I like Belle Isle as well. I like the road courses. The ovals are a bit of a mystery to me still. They're fun, but it gets chaotic.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as well. It seems that kind of summarizes the season so far between big crashes and pit lane snafus. So looking forward to some more great racing amongst you guys. Always put on a fantastic show. And Colin, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make this evening possible?
Yeah, definitely tonight wouldn't be possible without the PG-13 guys, Paul and David. We all just practice so much and run together. We mesh really well and race really well together. So big shout out to those guys. Trent as well. He was in there being our race engineer after his little misfortunes, and all our other sponsors: American Wheelman, OMG Paint Shop, AMSOIL. I mean, we've got them all.
Awesome, Colin. Congratulations tonight. Definitely well earned, and looking forward to seeing what you have in store for the rest of the season, my friend.
Hey, thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Colin Weatherholt bringing home the win here at the Racing for Children's Grand Prix. As we get the results pulled up center screen, Colin picked up the win. Paul Gibson brought home second. David Shutt rounding out the top three. Three teammates, PG-13 Racing, in a spectacular show. As always, on behalf of the MSRIndySeries.net, check them out if you want to support the charity, support the league. Good racing for a fantastic cause. My name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.